Hi friends, in this session let's try to learn more about advanced usage of Excel source connection in Dataflow task. So let's go to Dataflow task designer and drag Excel source connection into designer. Now open Excel source connection and configure your connection manager by clicking on new and then Excel file path, browse and select your Excel sheet and click open. Now click OK. Now try to understand the data access modes. You will see four different options here. One is table or view and table or view from variable, SQL command and SQL command from variable. So in this video, I'm going to cover table and SQL command. So when you select table or view, you have to select the table from this drop down name of the Excel sheet. So let's click on that. You will see all the sheets that you have in your Excel sheet. Select the one that has dollar symbol that indicates tables in your Excel sheet. Sometimes it may show even though you have one table in your one sheet in your Excel connection, it shows like two tables. But in that list, try to prefer the one with dollar symbol. So I would like to choose invoice data. Now in this button, preview button will be useful to see the sample data from your Excel connection. So let's click on preview to see the sample rows of your Excel. So it shows only first 200 rows and click close and check uh, the column names and the data showing correctly or not using this preview button. Close. So and go to columns to see all the columns here. So one thing that you want to consider here is if you don't want any of these columns to pass on to other transformation or to load into destination, then consider uncheck these unnecessary columns from this list so that the columns doesn't pass to next transformation, which obviously improves SSIS performance. So this is one good practice to follow while you work with Excel source or any other data flow task source connections. Now go back to connection manager and try to understand other data access mode. So other data access mode is SQL command. So like we write queries on top of SQL Server source or any other database source, we can also write source queries on top of Excel connection manager or access connection manager. So but only thing we have to follow is a little bit different syntax than our relational database, SQL Server database queries. So let's try to get the data from this Excel source connection. So select star from table name, right? So let's give our table name that is invoice data and dollar. So see what happens when we click preview. So it shows error because this is not the right syntax. So right syntax is just mention this starting brace and then closing bracket, starting bracket and closing bracket, and between you will have table. Now click preview, you will see the data. So this is the syntax we have to use for Excel source connection managers. So the second use case here is what if you want to filter some data or you want to filter columns here itself instead of in the column section. If you want to filter some of the columns in here, then you can do it here as well. So let's click on preview again. So I want only sale key, city key and customer key, let's say. Now close. So you can filter here like sale key, comma, customer key, comma, and city key. So the data type, sorry, the column names must be same uh, in the Excel source connection. Now preview. So I'm sorry, something is wrong. So that means customer key. Okay, I'm sorry, here starting brace preview. So this is how it's coming, right? So let's check the data again by removing these columns. Star preview. So you will see the data here. Customer keys are 0. That's why that is showing 0. Just I want to confirm, make sure the data is showing correctly. So let's use that in this way. You can filter the columns in this way. Now, what if you want to filter some rows? So you can also filter the rows here like A1 colon some C 1000. I want only 1000 rows. So you can follow this syntax to filter rows, number of rows. Suppose in real-time case scenarios, you will actually, some of the Excel sheets will have header started from fifth row or 10th row, some nth row. Okay, in that case, you have to follow in this way. You have to write SQL command, or you need to follow another way to filter the header. Uh, you filter the empty rows from the Excel source connection. So in that case, we follow this syntax. So in columns filter case, we follow this syntax. Now click preview. So you will see the rows. So let's close it. So these are the different ways that we use in general when we work on real-time scenarios. Now let's go back and select all columns and from only 1000 rows. Now preview again. um, okay, because I set C here, it's not showing all rows. So let's take this out again. Preview. Now close columns and okay. So now the another case scenario here is, so let's open Excel source again, go back to columns. So if you hover on it, so the external column data type is showing Unicode string, right? And the output column is also showing Unicode string. But we know the sale key, customer key, and these keys are integer type. And also the tax amount, profit, and these amounts data as well, integer format, not in the varchar format, right? So I want to change these data types explicitly to the required format. That means I want to correct these data types as per the actual data type of the Excel. So sometimes, most of the times, SSIS doesn't detect these column data types when we use this text file or Excel source connections. So in that case, in most of real-time case scenarios, we will have to manually correct these data types going to advanced mode of this Excel connection or source connections. Okay, now let's see how to do that. Now click OK. Now right click and show advanced editor. Now go to, so you see connection manager section here, tab here, and component properties here. uh, so you will also find these properties in normal um, F4 properties. Now column mappings, you will see this in the normal edit mode, and this is the advanced mode that you will see when you open in advanced editor. So input and output parameters, so you will see two groups. One is external columns that you see left side of the columns, and output columns you see right side, output columns. So output columns will be passed to the transfer next to transformation and the destination column, and external columns are as is in the Excel source connection. Okay, so if you want to change this here itself, it allows, but actually it reverts when you again open it. So it doesn't actually affect you if you change here in external columns. So it's good to consider in output columns, because we want to apply those transformations in the next for the next transformation, or to load into the next destination. So usually we change our data types in the output columns, not in the external columns. Okay, let's try to change in the output columns now. Sale key. So I want to change that to, so in order to change that, let's select that particular column you want to change, and go to data type and click drop down. You will see all the supported data types here. Then based on the actual data type, let's select that data type. So I know sale key is based a big integer, so I would like to choose 8 byte signed integer data type. Now let's go to build to customer key. Now again choose, hmm, where is that 8 byte signed integer, and go to tax amount, change it to 4 byte signed integer, or float. You will see float double as well. Okay, here it is float. Okay, similarly you can change for all the columns you want to change. So now click OK. Now open Excel source and columns. Now hover on output column to see the changes. So here data type is showing 8 byte signed integer, right? And customer key is also showing 8 byte signed integer. Now, and the tax amount is showing float. So this is how we change uh, the data types in Excel Connection Manager source itself. Otherwise, sometimes uh, if the data doesn't support, or if you by mistake, or some of the row in Excel might have a text character uh, in a integer column, integer data type related column, then it shows you errors. Even though you set in this way, you tries to forcefully convert the column in this way, it shows you the errors. So but now you got an idea how to change the column data types um, in the Excel source connection or any other source connections. So this advanced editor you will see in all the source connections mostly. Now error output. Now here this is also a common window that you will notice in all the data flow related uh, tasks, transformation tasks, and source connections, destination connections. So in error output, you will see error and truncation. So in error, you can set ignore failure, redirect row, and failure component for each column, or you can apply for all the columns here. So basically, when error occurs on the specific column, based on the setting that you apply, it redirects, it ignore, or it fail the component. For same thing for truncation errors, it redirects, ignore failure, or fail component. So when you select redirect row, then it shows an another error output row when you try to configure mapping the precedence constraint to the another transformation, or to load the destination. Okay, so these are the different use cases, and this is how we use this Excel source connection uh, in real time. And one more thing I would like to cover here is, so let's go back to table and now choose invoice data. Now click OK. So instead of choosing SQL command, you can also set filter the number of rows in the table mode as well. So let's select Excel source and click F4 to open properties window. So here you see open row set. So if you want to uh, filter the rows, or if you want to start with the header row, if suppose your header in the Excel source starts with 5 row number, starts at fifth row number, then you may want to filter start from 5, right? So in that case, you can enter open row set, modify this table name here like this, table name, and followed by the column row A5 or A100, whatever nth row, and colon, and all the columns, if you want all the columns, the maximum column and maximum row number if you don't want to fill any other rows. Now click outside. Now open this again. So you will see that here, and if you go to columns it shows correctly, but so because I set it a wrong header, it is not showing the header information here. So this is how we can use Excel source connection. Please comment if you have any questions, or like, share, subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you.